1, 2, 3, 4.
Filled with awe and fright, see Jurassic Right, bathed in amber light. See Jurassic Right, see Jurassic Right, right. See Jurassic Right, right. See Jurassic Right, right. See Jurassic Right, see Jurassic Right, see Jurassic Park.
You know what? I didn't think this through at all. Anyway.
No, it works. Keep it. It works. We can do the whole thing like this.
I'm going to do the whole interview like this. Actually, this is Stephen Ray Morris, and you're listening to See Jurassic Right, See being the operative word here. And if you're... I basically have just doing these stunts. This is just for my guest of wearing stupid shit when I start the podcast. That's very uncomfortable and isn't good for podcasting, just so people can watch it on video. But anyway, I'm going to take this off because I need to intro my guest, who I'm very excited to have back on the show, because they might be one of the fastest reoccurring guests, I think.
Ooh.
Returning guests, because it was only, I guess, I don't remember when we recorded that. It was only in February or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah. We met in November, so
yes.
it's a fast-moving thing, yeah.
I'm like the tides rolling in and back. You were a quick tide. They are a mathematician, which I just love bragging about. I love telling everybody about what you do. It's Alise Fox. Hey, how's it going?
Hello. Hi.
Did you
Thanks for having me back. I didn't know it was so quick.
Did you enjoy that dumb bit?
I loved it. I am kind of sad that it's gone already. I don't mind if it comes back.
Well, I also have this Finding Nemo background, so I feel like I had to choose between one or the other, but...
Yeah. I mean, they both... You can make it work. Come on.
I'll put it back on at some point during...
Yeah. Cool. Surprise us. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, there's a lot of questions because this is a new series. This will be... I think it's going to be like a summer, I feel like, right? Like summer series, watch a flick with a scientist. It sort of rhymes, but not really. And as I was saying, you're my, is there like a sea equivalent of a guinea pig? Like a sea slug or like a guinea slug?
Yes.
A nudibranch?
Yeah, I say snail. I don't know. They're kind of like experimental. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure this out. But
yep.
The idea is, both of us watched a movie, and I get to bug you about the scientific accuracy of it. And obviously, we're talking about Finding Nemo because you inspired this series basically because, during our first chat, you talked about Finding Nemo, and your job is, in my enthusiast layman terms, you count the fish in the Great Barrier Reef. So, like, you're doubly qualified.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we mentioned Finding Nemo a few times in our first chat because you're like, if your work could be any movie, what would it be?
Yes.
Or something like that. I was like, yeah, Finding Nemo. So this was inevitable. It's always going to happen.
Well, and we're recording this now in June, and I feel even more ocean-pilled, especially since I've seen Finding Nemo. And just even more recently, like I'm rereading Sphere, one of my favorite Michael Crichton novels for our Michael Crichton Summer Book Club that I do with my friend Samantha Indris. I'm playing Subnautica 2. Like
you're always playing Subnautica.
That's true. And then so in that headspace, rewatching this film was just so much fun. I wanted to ask you briefly, just if you could restate your job, just for people if they haven't listened to our first chat, which they totally should. But yeah, like you get to count fish in the Great Barrier Reef. What do you do, and how did you get there?
Yeah, so my job is pretty much to figure out how many fish there are. So not so much counting, but figuring it out. And so we do it like one species and one sort of area at a time and collect all this data from all these different sources to figure out how a fish species is tracking, a fish stock is tracking. And we often look at the more like heavily fished species. So I work in fisheries, and the field is called stock assessment. And the whole point of my job is to see if we're fishing a species too much to a point where we might be overfishing it, and then make recommendations for what future harvest levels should be so that fish populations can stay happy and healthy.
Ugh,
and it's a lot of maths and stats, and that's basically how I got there.
I think I dumbly was like, wait, do you go out and like 1, 2, like?
I mean, that's kind of how I sell it, but it's like 1, 2, but at a desk with data and numbers and code. But there are people who do the 1, 2, 3 for us. So there are like sort of underwater surveys that can happen, but that's often just like one data source, and having people directly count isn't the best method because fish move around a lot and they're hard to find and there's a lot of them. So we have to use other techniques.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. And yeah, for anybody jumping in the first time too, like I was very blessed to swim the Great Barrier Reef last January or last February, which is just one of those, I still talk about it that's a thing you learn about in school. Like, you know, when I first learned about Australia, I think Great Barrier Reef is like a big part of when you're a kid and you're like, what's going on down there? You know, and it's very exciting. So it was really cool to revisit the movie in that way, just looking at the Australian-ness of it, even though obviously it's a Pixar movie and primarily it was made by people here in the US and stuff. But then also you made me think a little bit because your TED Talk finally came out in between when you recorded it, when we became friends.
That's right, yeah.
When I had my surgery, we podcasted, TED Talk came out, and it's all about side quests. And really, it's a really wonderful, warm presentation about just sort of like, there's no linear way to, or just, I don't know, like to me, my main takeaway is that it's like everything you do is going to help you in your career or vice versa, no matter what.
Yeah, like all your side quests that you do just make you who you are as a person. So before we hit record on this, we were talking about my obsession with fungi and mushrooms and learning about mushrooms. And like that's one of my little side quests I have in life. And I feel like by me being obsessed with mushrooms in forests, that teaches me about field work and like ecology, and that feeds back into Great Barrier Reef fish stocks. I don't know. I feel like it's all like connected and all just builds upon who you are, and yeah, makes you a more interesting, well-rounded person. So hobbies are good, side quests are good. Just, the fuck around and find out is really important in building you up as a complete person.
Totally. And yeah, I'll put a link to that in the show notes. But yeah, you mentioned about that. Yeah, you are not necessarily going out into the Great Barrier Reef just to count around like on a Tuesday or anything like that.
No, unfortunately. And I live a little bit too south as well. Like I don't line up with the Great Barrier Reef. I'm a little bit south of the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah.
But yeah, my job's maths and stats and data science with all the other stuff, like marine stuff thrown in as well. But I'm a maths and stats girly at heart.
But yeah, you became a fish person, or that's part of your job. When did you first see Finding Nemo?
Ooh, when did it come out? I reckon
2003.
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah, probably around then. I think I was in grade seventh grade,
Ooh.
to say it in American. Yeah, I reckon around then. I feel like we all saw it when it came out.
Yeah.
If you were old enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I can't remember a time before I had seen Finding Nemo. It's just like always been a thing.
Yeah.
I know. No. And like rewatching it, I was like, I remember every single part of this.
Fish are friends.
I didn't even need to
food.
rewatch it. Yeah.
No, truly. Yeah. This is, for me, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I was saying to you before we recorded, so I grew up by Disneyland and I worked at Disneyland. That was my first job in high school. And I worked at Disneyland, I believe the year this came out, or maybe it was the year after. So it was just such a big presence in my life. And the person I was dating in high school, like both of us were obsessed with Disneyland. We were obsessed with Finding Nemo. Like I probably saw this in the theaters a few times. I actually can't remember how many times, but it was definitely a movie that, yeah, like shark bait, it's like you could just say like P. Sherman, Wallaby Way, like, just keep
and
swimming.
You just say it in the street and people would say it back to you. Like, I feel like it's not like just a niche movie. It's like I could go out into the street and say 42 Wallaby Way and my neighbours would say 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney. P. Sherman. Everyone knows it.
Good yeah, you're gonna be my best friend. Oh, good feeling gone. Swim away. Like just
my squishy.
My squishy, yes. Oh my God. And this movie. I mean, it was the biggest animated movie at the time when it came out. It's still the biggest DVD of all time. Because the DVD was really cool because on the menus, they had an option where you could just let it be like a fish tank or let it be the reef. So it was like the first kind of like ASMR, like 5-hour video. And so I would definitely like either when I would stay at my high school sweetheart's place or like, you know, at my place, I would just like leave it on, like just as like, oh, I just have like the sounds of the reef and everything like playing. Like,
that's so cool.
Totally obsessed.
I now want the DVD. I feel like they won't be bumped from that like best-selling DVD title now.
No one's
going to beat that in 2026.
No, and yeah, this movie was obviously very well received, but it was sort of pre when like, you know, if this movie was made today, Ellen would have gotten an Oscar nomination for playing Dory. Like, it is such an iconic performance. And yeah, I was saying to you a little bit before, like, I didn't even necessarily think of this movie as edutainment in any, you know, in the way that like Jurassic Park, you know, is like, if you could like, which we'll talk about it, you know, at the end of this episode, we'll give it a rating as far as its edutainment value. But certain movies very much feel edutainment based and others are just sort of like, or at least I'm curious about your perspective as a scientist. Like some movies I'm like, oh, this feels like it's trying to teach you things. Whereas other movies just happen to talk about those things, and in the story, it's inherent that you're learning stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Do you feel like Finding Nemo feels explicitly like we're teaching you about stuff, or is it more just like the world in this story presents all these wonderful facts and concepts?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mix. Like a lot of it is like the sort of show don't tell, because like you learn a lot about the interactions and how the reef works in different species, and you get exposed to different species and their names and everything just by learning the characters, not like, and this is a blue tang and they do this. So I think it was really cool for that, to just like immerse you in it, to throw you in the deep end. That's the first one.
Ding.
So I think it was really cool.
Like a counter.
Pun alert.
Yeah.
So I think it was really cool for that. There were some, I guess, more. I noticed when I was rewatching it last night, although admittedly I started watching it way too late at night and then fell asleep. So maybe I've missed some details, but there were definitely some like just facts that they'd just say as dialogue in the movie, which I thought was cool as well. So it's kind of like a mix. It's like it introduced you to this like underwater landscape and this whole ecosystem, and then give you some like quotable tidbits as well, which I think is cool. So yeah, wasn't too on the nose.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I was just struck more at this time, obviously watching it, knowing that we were going to do this too. I weirdly was holding off watching it because I wanted to watch it right after we chatted the first time. But then this movie is just, it's like, even talking about any of the emotional stuff, it's just so like, and I think watching it at such young ages, I think I was a junior in high school at the time, or a sophomore. And it's just like, it really, like the opening, it, you know, still crushes you. It's still devastating. Just the, like, you can do it, like little fish that could kind of energy, and ideas about community and people kind of talking to each other, or animals talking to each other, and all that stuff is just super. It's still, all of that holds up, I feel like.
Yeah. Like that, like the emotional stuff, like the lovey-dovey, touchy-feely stuff, but then also the like the environmental messaging as well, I think is really cool. Like that holds up in it as well. Just the like, oh man, I don't want to hurt the reef. I don't want to exploit fish populations. I don't want to. Yeah, I think that was a really cool part of it as well. Like just that. It wasn't just like the Disney style emotional stuff. There was also the practical emotional stuff of wanting to take care of the environment, which I thought was lovely.
Yeah, no, totally. I'm going to put forth a thesis, maybe, that this is, you know, we'll see if we get there by the end of the episode, that this is maybe the best movie about the ocean, like the best, like fictional, you know, dramatic,
I reckon,
comedy, cartoon, animated feature film, period, you know, because, you know, at some, you know, you think about Jaws and you're like, okay, well, I don't know if this was the best, like that, well,
yeah, I'm never going in the ocean again.
That was quantifiably bad for sharks, you know, and when I interviewed Dr. Amani Weber Schultz, you know, just like literally she was telling me, you know, the writer of Jaws regretted writing Jaws because of how much it hurt sharks. And so I think maybe the only detrimental thing from this movie, from what I remember, and maybe I should look up this as, you know, to see if it's a more specific fact, but I remember there was like an uptick in adoption of clownfish because of this movie.
Yeah.
And that was like a big story at the time.
The Nemo effect, or the Finding Nemo effect, where it was like something like a 40% increase in wild. Yeah, it was something huge. But then you try and Google the number. I was trying to find that specific number, and it was really hard. And then I ran out of time because I got distracted. Yeah, but it drove like this massive spike in some markets, and so like I read one thing a while ago, which was like some populations were like locally depleted.
Oh no.
As a result of people like going and yoinking clownfish from the reef to put in their aquariums, or to like the pet trade.
Yeah.
But I think now there's been a big push to breed them in captivity, so it's not taking them like for the pet trade. So to breed clownfish in captivity so that you can take them from those populations and not affect the reef.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's one of those things where you're like, you know, was it Dan? Yeah, Diver Dan is the dentist. Diver Dan, is he the real villain of this whole thing?
Yeah.
You know,
Dahl is the villain.
Yeah, that's true too. But it's funny because the podcast Blank Check, they actually just, as of this recording, released an episode on Finding Nemo because they're doing an Andrew Stanton, who directed this movie. Oh, cool. They're doing a whole series on him, and I was like, wait, we've been planning this for months. So it's
we've got the receipts.
but that podcast is a great resource because they talk a little, you know, we're not going to go super in depth in the making of the movie, and their interests obviously lie in the Pixar side of things and all that stuff. But the one thing I remember especially about Pixar is that they like love to research, and they're like really into like going on these retreats, and we're going to go here and we're going to learn about bugs. We're going to learn about this. So they like went to Australia. They claim that everyone got scuba certified, which like, I don't know if they mean every animator in the film got scuba certified or if like just the kind of heads of department or something like that. So I think that's really cool. And they did go to the Great Barrier Reef. They went to Sydney. And I just was like, I love that because I feel like there's just so much love in this movie for for everything in the frame. Like even things that are jokes feel like, oh, this is an opportunity to like show off this cool species or like environment, basically.
Yeah. You can tell, like, it is made so lovingly. Like, you think about other Pixar movies as well. It's like they don't make every other ecosystem so lovingly as they do in Finding Nemo. It's like you can tell that there's, I don't know, a lot of thought and consideration into like every single scene, every single backdrop. Like there's so much, like you look at it and it looks like the Great Barrier Reef. It's they're all things. Yeah. It's like all the coral and animals and everything that they have pretty much, I mean, obviously they're anthropomorphized and made to look all cutesy, but it's like, watching it again last night, I was like seeing all the species that I now know after, I don't know, growing up a lot and learning more about the ocean. I'm like, oh, it's a parrotfish. That's so cool. And like just seeing them, like, oh, I've seen one of those. And like, I think rewatching it with that perspective, like there is so much truth built into it and like realism built into what they've created, which I think is so cool. So maybe, they probably did go and scooped out and get an idea so that they could animate it properly.
Yeah. Well, and this was a thing that I didn't even notice until it was pointed out, because I also rewatched, I guess I probably watched this in high school, but like relearned it. But I was watching the documentary that was on the DVD, and the thing I didn't notice is that all the fishes, you talk about anthropomorphization, all the fishes' eyes are in front, so they're more like a face. Like it was like, oh yeah, you're right. All fishes have eyes on the side of their head, and they subtly kind of move the eyes a little bit forward. Yeah, and it's just something like I was like, because they talk a lot about in the making of, like we were trying not to, you know, make them like Shark Tale, where it's like literally just people's faces on fish bodies. Like they, you know, but again, like.
But even that looked weird because the eyes are like too far apart. It was like that weird, like uncanny valley with the Shark Tale faces.
But yeah, I truly didn't notice that all the fish's eyes were in front.
Yeah. Except for the flounder.
Oh, yes.
The,
in the sand.
Yeah. But that's how they're meant to be. Yeah. The flat ones. Yeah. But they're meant to be like that.
I was going to ask, I meant to ask a little bit earlier, but did you have fish growing up? Did you ever have like a fish tank, or did you ever go full Darla, you know, with like with a goldfish in a bag?
We didn't have fish. We had a turtle, like a little tortoise or a turtle or something. Not a tortoise, a turtle. It was a turtle. But yeah, not like a full fish tank, but like friends had them, and I feel like fish tank people are so into fish tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, actually, no, sorry. I just completely forgot a whole section of my childhood. Redo. My mum taught aquaculture for a while. So like fish farming. My mum's done like 1,000 million different jobs. And at one point she was teaching aquaculture at, TAFE, which is like not uni, it's like the college sort of thing. And so they would have to, as part of their course, would have to breed crayfish. And so she was like, I've got to learn how to do it. And so she started keeping them at home. But then eventually we converted our backyard swimming pool into like a crayfish environment. We're just like, oh, we've got a big tank, we'll just put them in the backyard pool. And so our backyard pool, we couldn't swim in anymore because it's full of like basically like little lobsters. And yeah, so that became like this murky, muddy sort of pond out the back. And I always remember when it rained too much, the pool would start to overflow and all the crayfish would escape and like be littered around the backyard. We have to like scoop them back into the swimming pool. So I guess we didn't have a normal fish tank, but we had a swimming pool full of crayfish.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And your mom didn't stick with that?
I don't remember what happened. I was kind of actually, that was only probably around the same time that Finding Nemo came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think we just like she sort of shifted jobs, so we had to like just slowly get rid of all the crayfish out of our pool, I guess, and convert it back. I don't know what happened to that pool. I guess we just moved away and tried again.
I love that. Okay, Finding Nemo. This movie is very good. And re-looking at it from an edutainment perspective, I think some of the things that stuck out to me rewatching it, and I want to know what stood out to you. Even the idea that the stingray is like a science teacher, like there's just little details like that I was like, oh, cool. Like that's a really cool thing. And so, yeah, ultimately just the idea that, yeah, this environment is like worth taking care of. And then also the idea that the villains are the humans, basically, like they're disrupting this environment, like you were saying earlier. Like all that stuff feels really progressive and feels really like, oh, that's cool. Because it's not like the humans ever help. You know what I mean? There's no human heroes in this movie.
Like a background character in it. It's like, yeah, they're almost like not an NPC. They're a background character in it, and you have to not like them, even though that's the character that you are in this. Yeah. This whole thing. It's like, who are the humans? There's a dentist who took Nemo away, and there's Darla, and that's kind of it. And you sort of don't like them. I don't know. I think that's really cool, and it's not overly in your face, because I think the impact of humans on the Great Barrier Reef and on the ocean and on all of Earth, it's so complex, and it's such a big topic to try to squeeze in. So like, how can you teach kids in a fish movie about like destruction of reefs and climate change and all this other stuff? So it's really subtle, but enough for you to feel, oh, I'm a bit uncomfortable with the humans in this movie. I wonder why that is. And so yeah, I think it was subtly done. It's not so in your face. It's like humans are the worst and they're destroying the ocean. But it's like there's enough little nuggets that kids can sort of like develop as they think about them more when they grow up.
Yeah, and it's just that thing of, I bet, especially people who are probably even younger than us, where it's like, oh, this is the kind of movie where you're like, oh, now my parents get me books about the ocean, whether they're coffee table books or kids books that are like, here's the Great Barrier Reef. And then it's like magic school bus style, like, okay, well, and this is how corals forms. And like, here's all the different species and it's the ecosystem of everyone working together and all of that.
And then the icon of clownfish and blue tang, like Nemo and Dory, as those, like, they're not the most important fish in the reef, but because they're the characters and they're the icons from the movie, it's like, all right, now that's something to grab onto. It's like, oh, I remember the clownfish. And so now I want to, it's like a gateway fish to go into the rest of learning about the reef.
Yeah. I know this movie, I mean, honestly, is just in terms of like dividing up the movie and thinking about the science of it. You know, there's a lot of like fish behavior stuff. I feel like, yeah, like that. Well, I don't know if it's a myth, but the idea of like memory of a goldfish, like that kind of thing, is that even what is that based on? Like, do you remember the first time you heard that idea? And like, is that even true? And
yeah, I remember it's like those little fact books you read when you're a kid. And I remember always learning that, but then it's not true. Like, it's so debunked. It's very, it's not true. Like fish are pretty smart. They're not as smart as humans, I don't know, obviously, but like fish are really smart. Like I was reading into that as well. Like there have been studies that, you know, they can use tools. Like there are tusk fish, for example, in the Great Barrier Reef, and they can use tools. Like they pick up rocks and they use it to smash open like bivalves and other things. And there's archer fish, which like squirt little projectiles, and like there's other things that like shoot sand at animals to knock them over to get to the soft underside. Like there are so many examples of fish using tools, and I don't know, just like being really clever. And also there have been studies where some fish in captivity can recognize faces of people, which, I mean, to what degree? Also, I'm impressed because I can't remember faces at all. Like I'm quite face blind. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's like there are lots of examples of fish being really smart, and also just remembering like spatial layouts. Because I was looking into fish memory as well. I was like, how true is this Dory thing? Is it a blue tang being the species of Dory? But no, fish can. There's nothing that says that goldfish have terrible memories, or even blue tang having terrible memories. That's just an exaggeration. And a lot of fish similar to the reef fish like Dory can remember like spatial layouts for weeks or months or something. So this whole 3-second thing is just nonsense.
No, that's great. No, because that's one of those things that feels like a apocryphal sort of.
I was reading though, like one measure that scientists use for like intelligence is the brain to body weight ratio. And the smallest brain to body ratio of all the vertebrates is a fish. And it's called the bony eared ass fish. Has the smallest brain to body ratio of all of them. So I feel like that one just copped to someone had a bad day when they were describing that fish, I think.
I don't know. Anytime I talk to people who get to name species, it feels like so fun, you know? But yeah, they were
until you meet the guy who named it a bony-eared ass fish.
Yeah, he's the exception. They're the exception.
Yep.
But yeah, this movie, we're not going to necessarily go through it like chronologically, but there's just so many aspects of it with fish behavior that are so interesting to me, where it's like the idea that like, do fish protect their young? Is that even just like, the devastating opening of this movie of obviously, oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Coral, yes, yeah. And that
Coral
thing with
and Marlin,
with the barracuda looking down and like looking at the fish and that, it's like, have fish been seen like protecting their young, like that kind of level of.
Yeah. Okay. Buckle up. So, for that question, so they typically lay like 100 to 1,000 eggs, and then the clownfish in particular are really protective of the eggs. And the dad so the dad is really protective and like cleans them and makes sure they're all safe. And then the mum watches the dad to make sure he's doing a good job, to be like, are you being a good father? And then once they hatch, they kind of just disperse and find their own anemone to live off. I just keep saying it wrong. So they take care of them as eggs, and then once they hatch, they're larvae, and then the larvae disperse and become grown-ups and sort of just chuff off. But the fun thing with the biology of the parents, so clownfish are protandrous hermaphrodites, meaning so they're all born male forever.
Whoa.
They're all born male, but they have like both parts hiding inside them, like both male and female. And so it's always the largest clownfish in the clownfish society that is the female. And when that female dies or disappears, the next largest male transitions to be a female, and that becomes a new matriarch of that fish club, that fish society. And so when Coral died, Marlin probably should have become a woman.
Life finds a way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's probably one of the biggest like immediate biological inconsistencies is like, so every single clownfish is born as a male, and then there's one like queen basically, and she presides over them.
I love.
And so
this.
yeah, when Coral died, Marlin being the next biggest probably should have taken over, and then that matriarch breeds with the next biggest male, which like based on the movie was Nemo.
Oh, no.
but that didn't happen. So like Marlin should have become like Marilyn or something. Second one. But I think Nemo, when Nemo hatched, probably should have dispersed and found a different anemone to live in, up to like 7 kilometers or 13 kilometers away or something. Oh, wow. is the range that the larvae sort of travel to find their new home, and then they can live there. So Nemo's dad would have become Nemo's mum, and Nemo, probably being the only other clownfish there in the movie, probably should have been the mating partner, but in reality he would have actually just chuffed off somewhere else. Yeah.
All right, debunked. Yeah. I love that.
So like in the movie, he's like, we'll name this half Marlin Jr. and this half Coral Jr., which is also wrong because they're all going to be born a male. So they should all have been called Marlin Jr., I guess, or just gender neutral names because they may have transitioned in their life. Like if the
Marley
one became, Marley. I like that. Yeah. And the other tragic thing, which is, sorry, just coming and crushing childhoods. So the whole idea of like that one egg left and like, but when the barracuda attacked all the eggs, obviously Nemo's egg was a little bit damaged, and that's why he's got the lucky fin. But in reality, any damaged or infertile eggs are typically eaten by the male clownfish. So.
Oh no, we really created a full horror show where Marlin is eating Nemo and then transitions.
Yeah. So it would have been a very different movie if that was all biologically accurate, but I like what they did with the movie.
Marlin turns to Marilyn. She meets a nice new clownfish, and they start a new life together, you know?
Yeah.
Happy ending.
Yeah, happily ever after. Yeah, the end. It's a 5-minute movie.
Barracudas, they're really terrifying, right?
Yep. Yeah, they're real. They're predators underwater. They're scary. Yeah. It probably could have happened. Yeah.
It's just one of those things where I feel like we've been so... And obviously, I've talked about it before on this podcast, like Shark's been having a redemption arc. And I was realizing rewatching this movie that maybe this movie also had a little bit more positive shark representation. But it was like, it's cool that it was not a shark as like the thing that eats all the fish. Like it was this other kind of fish. And because that's the thing I feel like I learned growing up is that, but it's not, I feel like it's not used in media as much as that, like fish eat other fish. And it's just like, like, but as far as like, there are some fish that are like, well, I don't want to say scary, but like there are more predatory fish than others. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a food chain and there's different levels of predator. It's a fish eat fish world. I think, it is nice that they mixed it up. It was like good for shark PR, but at the expense of barracuda, I guess, PR.
Yeah.
That's all right. No one knows about barracuda. No one cares about them very much.
After that 80s song, ooh, barracuda,
Ooh. Yeah,
So-
that gave them too much of a good rap. So they've got to like knock them back down with Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate this movie for also maybe being the first people to call out dolphin, again, dolphins PR was too good for too long. And I feel like everyone, look, we're just, I like we're kind of saying, like, some animals have had too much good PR when they shouldn't. And sharks have been having a hard time. And so we need to uplift
Just
them a little.
balancing the playing field. Yeah. Just evening things out. Yeah. Restoring
I'm
the order.
a flippy little dolphin. I'm a flippy little dolphin. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of dolphin hate. Like, dolphins are cool, but they're like maybe overemphasized, oversold,
Yeah.
too popular.
yeah.
Balance it out. Yeah.
And as far as, okay, well, there was one other clownfish thing, because they have a relationship with the anemone that keeps them safe, and so they can be stung and be okay.
Yeah. So it's a symbiotic relationship. So the clownfish like rub up against the tentacles and get covered in this mucus, and that's how they gain. Yeah. So they just get covered in like anemone goo. And that's how they get that resistance. And in return, they sort of eat the little debris around the anemone and like poop in the anemone, and that gives nutrients to it. And so it's a sort of symbiotic thing. But so they get that immunity to the sting just by rubbing up and coating themselves. I think their clownfish have a mucus which is compatible with anemone mucus, and so it's this nice little combination of them.
No, I mean, that I feel like I don't know if obviously there's symbiotic relationships outside of the ocean, but I feel like that's where even just imagery of little fish swimming around bigger predators, like, eating off like little bits or whatever and cleaning them, and like fish swimming into sharks' mouths and like that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah.
Is there,
or the bacteria on anglerfish as well? That's another symbiotic relationship. Yeah.
Is there like different types of fish that can swim in anemones, or like are clownfish the only?
I'd say just clownfish, because they're also called anemone fish.
Oh,
so anemone fish can swim in anemones. Anemones. Yeah, so I think it's just them, and that gives them resistance to the anemones, which does not translate to jellyfish.
Okay, so yeah,
like later in the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I mean, we'll get to a little bit more of that, but because that was another thing as far as like what inspired the making of this movie was Andrew Stanton seeing, I think it was maybe like a magazine cover or some photo of like a bigger clownfish and a smaller one, and it looked like they were kind of like hiding in the anemone, and that's kind of like what one of the images that inspired this movie. So it's cool.
And it's a real thing. It's super common. Like I have gone diving on the reef, and like when I have gone, it's like you just see it. You just see little clownfish poking their heads out, and that's just a real normal thing under the water. Super cute.
How many things from this movie did you see in real life when you've gone to the reef?
15. No. Like a lot. I think it's not as vivid underwater either, which is a disappointing thing because of the way light filters. I mean, it's still very, very vivid underwater, but the saturation's turned up a bit in the movie. The blue light filters on. But yeah, like just seeing so many of the animals, and I think seeing clownfish was the big one. A lot of those reef species, and maybe that's why they picked the species that they picked in the movie as well, because there's like thousands of species on the reef. It's like why they picked those ones. Maybe they're the ones that you see more commonly as well. I don't know. It's there's heaps. It's so true to life, I think.
Yeah, and I would say that my trip to the reef, and I was trying to look up the company where they purposely like drive their boats slower so it's not as like fuel, like they're not using as much fuel, and then they also like I think donate a lot of their money back to like rebuilding the reef and stuff like that. So for people who are wanting to go, try to, and I'll try and look it up for the notes, but just, and trying to be a more ethical tourist because, I think even the place when we first met, I was showing you pictures where it's like, I maybe would say I went to like a bad neighborhood in the reef. Like it's still the most beautiful thing of all time, but I would rather that is still more, as far as like what you're saying, the saturation goes and this part of the reef was maybe a little bit more damaged, but it's like, I'd rather see a little bit and just feel that impact of humans rather than go into like the Finding Nemo unspoiled paradise and potentially, be a diver Dan. I don't want to be a diver Dan. So
yeah. And even like the sunscreen you wear when you go diving, you got to be mindful what chemicals you're bringing down because that can interact with all the reef and everything else. Like there's so much to be careful of when you're interacting with those pristine environments. So yeah, probably good that we're not in that pristine, perfect reef. So in the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, it's about 1/3 of it is a marine park protected, like no take zone. The whole thing's a marine park. And about 1/3 of it is like there's no fishing allowed, you can only dive and only interact. So they do a lot to protect it. And there's some, even further than that, there's some areas where you're just not meant to go at all unless you're a scientist doing science stuff. So there's like a whole lot of different levels of like who can go where across the Great Barrier Reef.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, again, I feel like it feels like Australia has a lot of symbols of the country, but I feel like, the Great Barrier Reef is a big part of it. I feel like
that and Steve Urban.
Yeah. No, that's like, it was funny because I went to Paris recently for the first time and it's like, oh, there's like a lot of stuff. It's like not just the Eiffel Tower, it's the Louvre, it's the, the Arch, it's the Notre Dame, like, there's like
Moulin Rouge. It's all of it. Yeah.
A black cat, that looks very like meow, or whatever. But it's, and then as far as like the Great Barrier Reef goes in the movie, is there these periods? Because even later in the film, or like kind of, or pretty early, I guess, when they, visit the sharks and there's the submarine and the landmines or the underwater mines and stuff. And like, because my impression of the Great Barrier Reef when I went is like, we boated out for like 2 hours and it was still, like maybe like 50 to 75 feet was like the deepest area we were, but then other coral stuff was like close to the surface. But is there like drop offs? Like, is that like in different parts? Like how deep was the drop off in this movie kind of thing? Like that's where my brain was thinking of, like, is that really realistic? Because in my head, I'm like, man, it really felt like the Great Barrier Reef went so far off the coast.
So there is drop off. There are deep parts. And I feel like a lot of the visible stuff, the colorful stuff where the light still gets to is all shallow, but there's definitely drop offs, like cliff faces underwater, and it's really scary. Like I've snorkeled near there and I'm like, oh, the drop off. Because it's just like, what if I suddenly forget how to float and just sink to the bottom, which is not a real risk. But it's scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like there's definitely those zones, and there's like a lot of like deep sea fish that live there. So definitely part of like the sort of Great Barrier Reef, there are deep parts to it as well. And I think anglerfish even live in those deep parts as well. I think they're on the Great Barrier Reef. I assume so. Yeah, but like that drop off is definitely a real thing. And like the trenches, there's those sort of like trench networks as well, like in that Coral Sea, Great Barrier Reef area. So I don't know, maybe it depends on your definition of Great Barrier Reef. Like the pretty top reefs are up there, but there's drop off in the geology as well.
Yeah, no, that's the part also just thinking more about that stuff. Because even recently they found that it's, closer to Indonesia, but like in between like Australia is that whale graveyard. I don't know if you saw that news story. And so, but it is that thing of people questioning, is it just that because this area is deeper in the ocean and all the bones have sort of like collected there, but then other people are like, well, no, but there's these whole ecosystems and like other bones would, go there, but it's only whale fossils. So it's,
Is that the only thing that's been big enough to survive, like to be brought up and
that too,
observed?
yeah. So, but I was thinking about that when watching this movie, because I was like, oh, like, because in my head, the uniqueness of the Great Barrier Reef being like, well, it's not all the way around Australia, but like the uniqueness of the Great Barrier Reef is very specific to Australia. So I was like, oh, I didn't realize that there were like deep trenches that would, you know, you could go so deep that you couldn't see light anymore. But
yeah, I mean, because like the Great Barrier Reef is 2,000 kilometers long. Hang on, I think 2,300 kilometers long. So like there's a lot to it. It's not just the pretty stuff that we see. Like, there's a lot of variation, diversity on it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's so interesting.
And like the further out you go, there's all the trenches and everything. Yeah. So there's a lot of different environments and different geology along the coastline. And the Great Barrier Reef isn't the whole way around Australia, like you said, but there are other big major reefs. It's just the Great Barrier Reef, I think, is the best one, probably because it's my local one as well. But like there's some along the west coast and some sort of a bit more south, on the east coast as well. They're like, we got them all around, but the Great Barrier Reef's the best one. It's one of the wonders of the world.
Yeah, no, totally. Again, that's like, this last year going to the Great Barrier Reef, this year going to the Eiffel Tower, it felt like these are like things that you just know as a kid, and it's very surreal to be in them or on them.
Yeah.
Can any kind of fish go that deep down? Because I feel like I see stories of how, like, when an anglerfish or like a blobfish like is brought to the surface, it's like they're used to existing under, you know, enormous pressure.
The pressure.
And so that's when I was thinking, watching this movie again, I was like, wait, then like Nemo or Marlin and Dory swim all the way down there. And I was like, does that happen? Like, can a fish go that far down, especially a surface dweller?
Definitely not. That was a big inaccuracy. So they would never, ever meet an anglerfish. They'd be destroyed. So, you know, when the Ray was singing his songs and he was talking about the different ocean zones,
yes.
That's the thing. And so they're like different species have their sort of depth ranges as well as their horizontal ranges. They have their vertical ranges.
Yeah.
That's not science words. But yeah, they have their depth ranges. So they wouldn't survive going down to meet the anglerfish. But there was I think it was last year, an anglerfish did for some reason swim up to the surface and they like washed up on a beach somewhere. And everyone's like, what the hell is this? So I think it looked really weird as well, right? Because it had the whole difference in pressure from coming from the deep, pressurized water. Yeah, so Marlin and Dory definitely could not swim down that deep. Probably the reverse effect of seeing that blobfish come up to the top. They'd like, I guess, flatten. Yeah.
Oh, no.
It looks super weird and also be dead. And the other one I was thinking was the octopus, you know, the cute little octopus. That's a deep sea one. So that octopus, the cute one, you guys made me ink.
Yeah.
That guy should be living deep down, like in way bigger depths and not up the surface with the rest of the guys. But he was cute, so he got to join the movie.
I know. I was thinking, because usually I'm like, oh, octopus, like in most movies, are traditionally like what we think of the traditional looking octopus, but then that one was very like
cute and squishy. Yeah,
cute. You made me ink.
It's really like with my job and having learned about fishing stuff as well, because there are like fish in that sort of middle range. So I mean, people catch fish at different depths, and one species I studied recently, and actually a lot of species really can suffer from something called barotrauma, which is when they live quite deep and then they get pulled up from fishing, and so they come up. So this is like maybe 40 meters to like 200 meters or something. Some fish can be caught and pulled up. And if they bring it up and like the fish is undersized or they don't want it or something and they chuck it back, they can suffer from this thing called barotrauma, which is essentially their swim bladder stops working properly and they just die, because it's like, well, you pull it out of its depth and that pressure that it's used to, and its swim bladder's all discombobulated, and then it just sort of doesn't last, which is really sad and like a pretty big problem.
Yeah, especially if you're pulling up things that you're not keeping. Like at that point, it's just waste. I mean, I guess somebody's eating it, you know, but in the
Yeah,
ocean.
and I mean they can sometimes survive. Yeah, they can sometimes survive, but it's it's a pretty big challenge as well, especially for me and my job being like, hey, well, how many fish are there? So, well, how many people pulled them up from a depth and then chuck them back, and how many survived? And like, there's some numbers that I have to throw into my model as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's tricky.
Yeah, wow. And I wanted to ask, it's like, and this was something they brought up on Blank Check where, obviously this is an animated movie and, the fish are all talking and everybody's communicating and everything, but it is interesting thinking about the representations of different creatures. And it's like, oh, this deep sea fish is portrayed as like a monster. But like they're just like any other fish, right? But just I think is it really just locking into this idea of, well, they like, oh, if a creature uses light to trick people, then that must be an evil fish or something.
Or a clever fish, like everyone's got to eat, they're just being clever and working with their little symbiotic bacteria. And then they look terrifying with their like sharp teeth and their like scoopy, like, I don't know, their jaws that just like come apart and eat things. But I mean, they live in the dark, in the bottom of the sea. They don't need to look pretty. Aesthetics don't matter down there. No one can see anything. They can be as ugly as they want. Oh. So it doesn't matter. They're just ugly and proud.
Oh, see, and that was the thing too of Nemo, Dory and Marlin's reactions of sort of being like hypnotized by it. And I'm always curious if those representations are realistic. Like I personally would say that when I was interviewing Bird Tony, who's trains birds in movies and film, I interviewed him for a live stream World Wildlife Foundation event, like God, almost like 10 years ago. But I was, I was getting to stand like, person away to all these big birds of prey. And I really felt like when the golden eagle was like looking at me, I was like, oh yes, it's okay if I, like it felt like I was like a rabbit in a field. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I was
like hypnotized by it. Yeah.
And so when I was watching this again, I was thinking about that of like, is that what the light on an anglerfish does to prey? Like, does it basically be like, wow, it's okay if I die? Like, I mean, obviously it's a little anthropomorphized, but like, what is actually happening?
I was trying to figure that out. I was wondering the same thing. I was like, is there some effect that like dazes them or like, I don't know, makes them lose their sense of self-preservation or something? Like why are they, because they really emphasize that in the movie that like, ooh, my squishy, I don't know, and just like became drunk by it almost. Yeah. I couldn't really find a clear answer. But maybe it's just the idea that why is there a light down there in the abyss of darkness and this like go towards the light sort of weird. I don't know. I'd probably, if there was only one single light source in an abyss of black, I'd probably do the same thing. So maybe that's the answer.
Yeah, no. Well, and then later in the movie, when the whale comes, they're like, don't talk to that strange, So it's like they learned their lesson, but then the whale was good.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's inaccuracies of the whale as well.
Oh, yes.
Because if we're going into the whale, well, because it scoops them all up. So like blue whales like that eat krill. And so I guess the fish fell into, and then they're hanging out in its stomach. I was definitely asleep during this part last night when I rewatched it, but from memory. But then it like blows them out the blowhole. But that's not a channel that exists. You can't. Okay. The stomach is not connected to the blowhole. It's like its nose. It's like its nostrils. Our stomach isn't connected to our nostrils, so they couldn't go from the stomach and then out the blowhole.
Well, yeah, that's what I was always wondering. It's like, how long could you last in the mouth of a whale or, make it to the stomach? Like, because there's a new movie coming out this year called Whale Fall about a guy who gets swallowed by a whale. And like, again, it's one of those things where I feel like hearing from some scientists who are like, well, if you like, you would have to be like you'd have to be, it would be a challenge to be swallowed by a whale in a meaningful kind of way, like a human,
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't want to. I think mentally I wouldn't survive. But yeah, those fish should be dead. Yeah, sorry.
No.
I could have sugarcoated that, but they wouldn't make it.
No, but I mean,
they wouldn't be blown at the blowhole because it's not the same pathway. Anyway.
Yeah. No, but I mean, that's why I wanted to do this series, because I feel like this is just an opportunity to learn all these cool facts and just thinking about some other stuff in this movie, because again, it's this, race across the Great Barrier Reef to Sydney, which, I mean, that's a long way for these fish to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the Great Barrier Reef doesn't go down as far as Sydney, but obviously like the East Australian Current connects them, which is, like it's a long way, and it would take a lot longer than is portrayed in the movie. So I know they time traveled a bit or like teleported a bit, but that's all right. But I guess technically they can't, like fish do migrate that far. I'm not sure how those little cute little reef fish would go, but there's definitely migratory fish that travel that far.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Well, and that's going back to the edutainment aspect, I do love that this movie is like the EAC, the East Australian Current, like it's just such a, like, I mean, they present it with, the California turtles. I was like, are all sea turtles Californian? But like, do I talk like that? Do I have an accent to you that sounds similar to Crush?
Yeah. Yeah. But do I sound like all the other fish with the Australian accents?
No. You don't sound like
But also, why were there so many American sounding fish in Australian waters?
Yeah.
That annoyed me. I realized that last night as well. I was like, they should all have little bogan North Queensland accents.
That would be amazing. Like, get actually very specific to where the Great Barrier Reef is. I would love that.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Spending time up there. Yeah. It's very different than, my friends in Melbourne or Sydney or, wherever.
Yeah.
No,
it's different demographic. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about like Fern Gully too, is that was made by an American company, but it's set in Australia. But nobody, I feel like so many people, like so many people are like, wait, that movie's like set in Australia, and it's like, Mount Warning's a real place. Like, I got to see at least a chunk of Fern Gully at the Melbourne Botanical Gardens and see Batty and everything. It was very cool.
Because I live near, like, sort of near Mount Warning. It's like a couple of hours drive from me. So look, when you come to visit, we'll go to Mount Warning. We'll go do a Fern Gully adventure.
There's so many things when I visit you and Jen, and I know a couple other people in up the area where I didn't get to go this time of my trip. But yeah, that's 20. Maybe wait, what year is it? 2027. We're gonna make it happen.
What year is it? Done.
But going back to the EAC, like, that was the other thing I noticed about this movie that I thought was cool, is like that the ocean isn't one monolithic thing, that it's like when they go into Sydney Harbor, it's like murky or like the water's like murkier. And then, so the East Australian Current, that's a real thing. It's a super highway, like
so it's not like a water slide or whatever, like you've got it on there. It's definitely a real current. Yeah, gnarly, dude. It's it's definitely a real current. And it's quite long, and it's geographically where it says it is. It's not like a little highway with designated lanes like they have in the movie. It's like 100 kilometers wide or something.
Oh wow, okay.
So it's not like you take this lane to go super fast and whatever else. It's not like a little tube that you jump in. Yeah. So it's quite wide. Just like a big old ocean current. But it's a real thing, and it moves like, I think, 80 kilometers an hour or something, like 50 miles per hour, I think it was.
Wow.
So it can be quite fast. That's one number I read, but I don't know, it's getting harder to trust the internet these days. Yeah, this really long thing. And sea turtles do use it for migration as well. Like, that's a major like tick towards Finding Nemo. Like, sea turtles definitely use the EAC.
That's cool.
The EAC, bro. So it's not like you can really see the edge of it like you can in the movie, but it's still a real thing. And the scientists, think it's interesting how the EAC is changing with climate change as well, because they reckon it's getting a little bit faster, and just in general, like, species species distribution is sort of shifting as well as a result. It's all like sort of connected. So as, I don't know, nutrients shift how they're distributed in the ocean and water heats up, the distribution of fish and where you catch them and where they live is just shifting as well. So it's all very confusing and hard to keep track of because it's just changing a lot.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, yeah, that's, again, the movie just makes me think a lot about just the ocean in such a way that, yeah, it doesn't feel like this uniform thing. And I think maybe talking about some of the other creatures, yeah, like this is, to me now, I'm like, oh, it wasn't just Baby Shark that had a good, I mean, obviously the shark, you know, the blood in the water thing, you know, is also kind of like a myth. Dramatized, yeah.
Yeah. The whole feeding frenzy thing.
Yes, yeah.
It's like sharks can go into feeding frenzies, but it's not like they get a whiff of blood and then go berserk mode like they did in the movie. But I think there's probably some level of truth to it. Like when they can go into like sort of frenzied sort of behavior when they're competing for the same food.
Yeah.
So I guess there's that truth to it, but it's not quite as vicious.
The only thing that maybe this movie doesn't hold up in a weird way, or not that it doesn't hold up, but it is just like, well, what are the sharks eating then if they're not eating fish? Like, what else would fish eat? You know, or what else would sharks eat?
Seagrass. Yeah, I looked this up. Where are my notes? Yeah, it was. There's one fish that their diet is like 60% seagrass. That's like the most vegetarian fish. Yeah, the bonnethead sharks can derive up to 62% of their nutrition from seagrass. So that's 62% of their food. So they're still going to get the other remaining 38% from fish. But so they can't be a full vegetarian shark.
Yeah. Well,
nice idea.
And it's a great white and a hammerhead, and then I forget what the third.
Mako shark. Yeah. Other shark thing is that Bruce. So Bruce is a white shark, great white shark, but we just call them white sharks now. Is probably a female because Bruce doesn't have clampers, which are like little fins sort of towards the end of the tail, like towards the tail, meaning that Bruce is probably a female, which I think is intentional because Bruce was played by Barry Humphries.
Yes.
Who was an Australian actor who was famously had a character called Dame Edna, who was like our big famous drag sort of character. So maybe that was an intentional thing. I'm not sure. That'd be really interesting to find out if it was intentionally like illustrated as a female shark, but with a male voice.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting.
Dame Edna. Yeah.
I didn't realize that about the difference between male, and I didn't know that we don't call them great white sharks anymore.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a PR thing that we're doing. Yeah, I think I heard that in was it one of your podcasts? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they're just called white sharks because great white shark sounds scary and intimidating. So it's like they don't need to be called great; just call them white sharks, and then everyone just chill out.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I know. Yeah, again, speaking of the PR, and then jellyfish, they're also sort of because they don't have a brain, right?
No, they're just this blob.
So they can like swarm like that or kind of like come out of nowhere. I mean, because actually when I was in the Great Barrier Reef, there was it was the season for I think sun jellies. Is that a correct name?
Stinger season, like stinger season or blue bottles or there's a lot of stingers. Yeah.
So we all had to swim with like a suit on
stinger
and everything.
Suits.
Yeah, and then we were
little
like
Teletubby costumes.
Yeah, yes. and like a lot of the footage I have is like there was parts where it was like, oh, the water's just filled with these little like they weren't the jellyfish like in Finding Nemo. They were almost more like a sand dollar. Like they just were kind of like bloop, bloop, and they didn't have long stingers sticking out of them. They were like it was all very self-contained, and they were like essentially clear. So it was one of those things where you'd be swimming and you're like, oh, wait, I'm like about to swim into like a patch of them. And so I guess in that regard, the idea of like them suddenly being surrounded doesn't feel incorrect to me just from my own personal experience, where I was like, oh wait, now I'm actually like, I wasn't supposed to swim this far out. I need to turn around, otherwise I could get stung.
Yeah. I feel like you'd see them coming. I feel like Marlon and Dory should have seen them coming instead of this like sort of ambush attack thing that's portrayed in the movie. Yeah, so it's not quite like that. They're not that smart. But yeah, we get heaps of different stingers. And I learned recently, like some of the, not jellyfish, but other sort of like stinging things. Like we have blue bottles, which are Portuguese man o' war is the other name for them, but they're blue bottles. But that's actually like that's actually like 3 or 4 different organisms all working together to be one creature. So there's like the stingy guy and the bubbly guy, and there's just this combination, this little team of animals working together. So it's not just one species that is a blue bottle stinger.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of guys working together. I thought that was so cool. And they have some name, which I've forgotten, but look it up.
Yeah. We're leaving these tidbits here. Yeah. You have to know about a lot of fish. You don't have to know about jellyfish, which is also a misnomer.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know so many ocean things have misnomers like starfish and but I wanted to, because since we're talking about group entities, there's obviously the scene with the school of fish that kind of like, I mean, do they really function as one brain, but there's individuals? Like I do, like they're like, oh, and we know somebody in Sydney, my cousin Terry, you know, or whatever, like, you know, it's all played for jokes, but the idea that can fish school together collectively like that in a meaningful way, obviously not making different, you know, like when they make the pirate ship totally, and they like there's the one that jumps off the plank or whatever, and they shoot the cannons. But is there a level of group communication?
So. That reminded me a lot of the birds, like starlings, which are not fish, they are birds, but they have that behavior. They're just like flocks of starlings in the sky. Respond like they don't do the charades thing like in the movie, but they act like they're just one big brain. It's like how do they all know to go in the one direction? And that happens underwater as well. You see schools of fish. Like if you go out snorkeling and see a school, you can definitely see them all not think the same, but respond to the same stimulus in the same way, which is kind of, I guess, what that was referencing.
Yeah.
And so you can definitely see them all have that sort of uniform response to things and move in the same direction in the same way. It's really fun. I had this like core memory in the ocean of finding a big bait ball, which are like these like little bait fish, and they're just this big just mass of fish all together, you know, existing in these schools and swimming around these tight little schools because it's strength in numbers, and if something comes along, well, take my friend, not me. And then I just remember seeing one like from the boat and just jumping into the middle of the bait ball and just being like swimming amongst it until they all dispersed. But that was like the stepping on a crunchy leaf in the ocean equivalent.
See,
but it was really fun. You got like this scrunched up face, but it was like just diving into this big ball of fish.
Actually,
I didn't kick the fish.
No. It's just more of, so it's funny because it's still on my desktop and I haven't actually ever posted them. But when we were in the Daintree in Queensland, just I think it was maybe a few days after the Great Barrier Reef, we went. There was this property where it's like, we drove around and got to see, there's like a waterfall, and then the Daintree is like one of the oldest forests, and everything. And, but there was like a waterfall and you could swim, but then the area where you had to get out of the water, you had to like walk through a school of fish. And so the feeling of a bunch of fish like rubbing up against your legs, I like truly hated that feeling. Like, I don't know why, but maybe I guess in the ocean it wouldn't feel as like slimy. I feel like freshwater fish are slimy, but is that incorrect?
Yeah, but like ocean fish are also slimy, like the whole mucus thing.
Yeah.
They can be slimy, but you don't like get them between your toes.
Yeah.
Like
That's I feel like when you jump in, you're kind of like they're dispersing around you. Whereas like I had to like push past these fish to get to the shore, and then it's like the mud too. Yeah. See, I'll show you. So I'll show you some pictures after this. They were. Nice. It was very cool. It was a really cool, like, just seemed like this guy had all this property and then was just like, all right, I'll take American tourists around like in a buggy and get to learn about the flora and fauna and everything.
That's so cool.
But yeah, speaking of more flora and fauna, we've talked about fish, sharks, whales. The seagulls. Speaking of a group behavior,
Might.
Marn,
Yeah.
Marn. One of my favorite things on the DVD growing up, and I feel like my friends and I would just watch it all the time, was because Finding Nemo is translated into a million languages, they had a supercut of all the seagulls saying mine in every language. I'll send it to you. It's so funny. I'll include it with the episode too. Mine, but like bien, mon. I don't know. I don't know what mine is in other languages, but yeah, I don't know. Is that? I wonder. Yeah, I wonder how. Obviously, birds aren't your specialty, but like, you know, it is just interesting that they chose to portray, like, pelicans were portrayed as smart and seagulls were portrayed as like these mindless creatures.
I think it's bang on. Like, you don't live here, so you've probably never had fish and chips by the beach in Australia, but that, like, seagulls the word seagull isn't really a thing. They're silver gulls here. But our gulls are, they're a menace. Like, they're too comfortable around humans now. And so if you've got fish and chips, they're always like, give me a chip, give me a chip, give me a chip. And you have to like shoo them away. But then people are like, oh, cool, it's birds, and they feed them chips. And then they just go crazy and eat, and there's like huge flocks of them just like trying to get to your chips. So that's definitely a relatable part, that whole like mine, because they're just trying to get whatever they can, and they're way too comfortable around humans now. And so I guess if there's a fish there, they want to go eat that fish in the ocean. But if they saw a chip being carried by a human, they'd probably come to us instead, I reckon.
Well, no,
I'm not a bird doctor.
No, but I mean, you see so many people who are, or even when, you know, going to places where you can feed fish or feed, you know, like a sea lion or a, you know, dolphin or something, seagulls will be hanging out. And like when I went to SeaWorld as a kid, you know, and just like grabbed it out of, like, you know, my sister was like holding up a little thing with the fish, and the seagull went boom and like grabbed it. Yep. And then, I mean, it's interesting that it's like, because like pigeons obviously were domesticated and then were sort of they were abandoned when they were no longer useful as far as like being messengers and racing pigeons, all these other things, and you know, around the world, I guess. But I guess I'm specifically talking about the United States. But I don't know if you've seen Happy Feet. That's the penguin movie.
Yeah, I think it's been on my list for like 20 years.
I kind of hate it because it's kind of like there's like weird tonal whiplash in that movie where like there's just something about the idea of that animals that have interacted with man, like how seagulls have gotten comfortable with humans, it almost has turned them into like brainless kind of monsters in a way. Like it is like ruined their sort of, I was going to say humanity, but you know, like it has just made them more horrifying, you know? And so the idea that the seagulls are that way because they've been around humans for too long is just an interesting, like, that's an interesting thing about this movie where it's like the one actually bad creatures are the seagulls.
Or annoying or whatever. Yeah. But we made them that way. The example I always think of is the Australian white ibis. Do you know about ibis here?
There's the bin chickens.
Yeah, bin chickens. So we call them bin chickens, which is just so mean. Because like they're this beautiful native bird, and then we brought them to urban areas. Like we put them in zoos here, but like an open air zoo. This is ages ago. An open air zoo in like Sydney or Brisbane or something. And then they escaped because it's an open air zoo, and now they're all in our cities and like eating our bins and just cleaning up after us. And we're like, oh, bin chickens, get out of the way, you disgusting thing. It's like, but we put them there, and they're like, they were here first. And, and they even like build nests out of the way in tall trees on the side of a motorway. I'm like, oh, bloody bin chickens, get out of here. So I don't know. I think justice for the animals that we've unintentionally domesticated, because they didn't choose to do that. We just got in their way.
Yeah,
that's my soapbox. I'll get off.
No. I mean, that's how I was thinking of them. Because my first trip to Australia with My Favorite Murder, I feel like I saw bin chickens. I don't think I saw any on my trip last year, but I just wasn't in. Because I was only in Melbourne.
Yeah, you went in big cities. Yeah, and I feel like they're very Like there's a lot around Queensland. I feel like they're very Queenslandy, but maybe it's because I live there and so I see them all the time.
Are they in Melbourne? I feel like I didn't see any when I was in Melbourne.
Not as much, I think. Not as much. I think they prefer the like climate here. I'm not too sure.
Sure,
but But I think they lived like more central, and then we brought them out to the more urban areas so we could look at them in zoos, and then we got annoyed at them.
It's like the roosters and the chickens on Hawaii. That there was a storm that released all these chickens on Kauai specifically, and so that whole island is just. But they've like, I think they've like become. Well, I shouldn't say this, but I feel like it's like there's something of like, it's like horses are all domesticated, but there's like some wild horses, and there are like, or like things have gone back to being feral or whatever. But anyway, it's just one of those, again, ultimately it's interesting that this movie portrays, like we were saying, of like the creatures that have been touched by man have maybe either are annoying or insane or, sort of are
the villains.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know about cane? Sorry, one more. Do you know about cane toads in Queensland?
I mean, weren't they brought here on accident? Like some American brought one over and like they escaped?
We brought them in on purpose. So we had like our sugar cane was getting eaten by cane beetles. So someone was like, oh, well, I found this toad that'll eat the cane beetle. And now the cane toads are just like everywhere. We've probably got like 100 in our yard at the moment.
Geez.
So and like the cane beetles aren't a problem anymore, but like everything is just overrun by cane toads. We put them there like on purpose to fix a problem, and now they're an even bigger problem.
Yeah, I feel like that's always a lesson of like
Humans,
when we introduce things, we're like making it worse. Because even I saw recently, or just the idea that there's this potentially new species, I think of like bacteria or something that can eat microplastics. And it's like, so it's like, been developing in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and how there's even like communities growing around different things of garbage. And it's like, well, do we clean those up? Like now that's because, even in this movie, like the sharks live in the submarine, like, and is that, I feel like, is that something where, shipwrecks will have communities living in them and things like that?
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Like any shipwrecks and submarine wrecks and everything, like that's habitat, it's structure that, reef can grow around, the coral can grow around. And there's just little hidey holes and fun little habitats for animals. So like shipwrecks are definitely like a hot spot for divers as well. Like there's a local shipwreck here, and like that's where you go if you want to go diving. So that's
cool.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost, it's like humans, we messed it up, but at that point, just leave it alone because, there's now
nature's figuring it out around your mess.
Yes, I love that's the message there. Yeah. Is there, because like going back to this idea of the behavior, like, and how you were saying at the beginning that maybe clownfish are bred for like the pet trade, like, is there a difference between, because obviously in the movie Gil, because we haven't talked too much about the aquarium, the tank gang, but the idea that Nemo is from the ocean and Gil's from the ocean, but the other fish aren't. But it's like, I guess is there a difference between fish that are bred in captivity and some aren't? Like, is there something fundamentally different about them?
Yeah, I think it's the same with domesticating any animal. It was like, and then trying to put it back. So if you really know what you're doing and you can rehabilitate, like any, I guess, wildlife, take it into care and then rehabilitate it, you can sort of send it out back into nature eventually if that's the goal. But I think a lot of the time it's like, it's funny because Gil is a Moorish idol, and they're notoriously difficult to keep in captivity. So the fact that Gil exists is in a tank is a bit of a lull. And also the fact that he's been there the longest and is like the wise one of the group is also probably a bit of an inside joke as well. Because like I think I was looking at some forums and like a lot of them don't last past a few months. Some of them can last a few years, but like a lot of them just die, and they're pretty notorious for just being really hard to keep captive. Because of their diet is a big one. because of the stuff they eat. Like you can't buy at a pet shop. You can't buy Moorish idol food because they have a really sort of specialized diet. And I think that's probably the same with a lot of, I don't know, fish that come from the wild. So maybe it's the certain species maybe can last if you keep them under the right conditions. But it would struggle. And then they have to be a saltwater tank, obviously, because you can get freshwater or saltwater tanks. So don't put them in freshwater.
Yeah.
They won't like that.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's almost speaking to just that maybe dentist Diver Dan is not a good pet owner if he's putting something like a Moorish idol in a saltwater tank like that. You know?
Although he's kept it for a while, so maybe he's actually really good at it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. Yeah, I never grew up with a fish tank or anything. I just think my parents weren't interested in even, like, that was not even an option. It was just sort of like...
They didn't want to keep crayfish in your family pool?
No, it didn't. That, even though that sounds very exciting. But yeah, like, and maybe I just never had an interest either. I feel like I've had more interest in my recent adult life, even... Detective Paul Holes, who I worked with for a couple years, he got really into aquarium stuff. I think the last time I talked to him I think I texted him when I was in Hawaii, sending him reef stuff, because I feel like it's like he super got into like aquascaping and all that and everything. And
cool.
But wait, where was I going with that? Keeping fish, aquariums, because I had a doctor growing up that had a fish tank like this. It was a doctor's office, but it was literally a fish tank where it was like one side was the waiting room and then the inside was like the inside of the office. So I thought that was like, is that just common around the world? Like,
do all doctors have fish tanks?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very common thing. I don't think I have the patience or the time awareness to keep a fish tank open, but like people do it. My brother has one. And like put a little sea snail in there, and then there were like 200 snails. So I think there's a lot of upkeep involved with having a fish tank.
Yeah.
And like a lot of careful planning, but I don't know, people do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think at some point I would love to go on that journey. But yeah, I was just thinking about, again, like, the behavior of the fish in the fish tank. And then also even like more specifically, it's like, do pufferfish, it's like when they get startled, is that when they inflate? Like, also, is a starfish's face in the center like that? Like, those are the kind of questions I was thinking when watching the tank gang scenes, you know?
Yeah. So like pufferfish, they gulp in water into their stomach, and that's what the puff is. Because watching it, it's like, but they're underwater, so obviously they're gulping down water, not breathing in air. But apparently if they want to puff when they're above the air, they can do the same thing with oxygen.
Oh, cool.
But then it takes them because it's like gulping all this water, it's in their stomach, and they have this special like stomach muscles to be able to expand.
Yeah.
And then it takes like 5 or 6 hours or something for their metabolism to correct it after they puff. Yeah. So when whichever fish it was like, I'll go help out puff. It's like 5 hours of just like giving him tummy rubs, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
And yeah, I wonder too, ultimately, if the movie, by having, that final scene where all the tank gang get out and they're sort of like, now what? Like, I wonder if that is speaking to the idea of like, could these fish, I mean, obviously Gil would be fine potentially, but like all these other fish bred in captivity, would they survive being out into the wild?
I reckon no, because they'd have no survival instinct. I reckon these fish are super dead. Also, because they're in like little plastic bags bobbing in the ocean, like they'll probably get super hot and then probably never get out. I think those fish definitely died. Sorry. Sorry, I'll go back. I'll sugarcoat it.
No, don't sugarcoat
happily
it.
Ever after.
We need to know the truth.
Expose them. Also, probably like a mega biosecurity risk as well.
Wait, say that again.
So it's probably also a biosecurity risk as well, because like what's going on in that tank? What, like, I don't know, like should they be in that environment? What diseases could they be carrying? I don't know. They're either gonna die or escape that little bag and then spread their germs to other beautiful reef fish.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
I know. I was also thinking like, I mean, this is more of a dentist question, but I was like, does that little sink thing actually lead to the sewer? You know, like I just was wondering, because obviously that's a big part of the narrative, you know, is that like Nemo he misses the toilet and then he's going to be thrown in the trash and then gets tossed in the little like sink.
Like they both would have this is going beyond my beyond my jurisdiction, but I did look it up. So a lot of Sydney's water does eventually go
I love that.
in the ocean, like through the sewage system and stuff. But it's not like just you flush it and then pop it out in the ocean, because that would be so gross. So there's obviously like a wastewater treatment process, and Nemo definitely also would have died at that point. Sorry for killing all the fish in the movie, because like the wastewater process has like all these like high pressure things and like extreme temperatures to treat the water, and then all these chemicals going through and like physical obstacles and grates and whatever. So he definitely wouldn't have just popped out from the spitty thing and down into the ocean. There was like a whole bunch of obstacles, and he definitely would have died along the way.
Oh my God. Well, because but I was thinking about that. Yeah, just even there's like a salinization plant near where my dad lives in Newport Beach. And so I think about that all the time, or like desalinization, I guess. But then also like in the movie, you know, the sewer pipe that Nemo pops out of, the crabs are like, I was like, were they eating the shit from the sewer? Like whatever nutrients is coming from the sewer? Like, I just thought that was an interesting like behavior, you know?
Yeah,
My
I was
cats are
trying to
fighting.
figure that out. It's raining, so maybe we got all these noises going on.
I love it.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, like what that crab thing. I was like, do crabs like sewage bubbles? But
Yeah.
I think it's I don't know. I guess it's just like whatever is left. Like, are there little nutrients coming out? But it's not like it's a. Why would there be bubbles in the sewage line if that's like from the toilet going from the water to some sewage treatment plant? It's like, let's seal that up, because that would be such a health risk otherwise.
Yeah. It's leaking sewage out into the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, again, you know, ultimately it's like, lobsters aren't from Boston, you know, and and the swordfish had the English accents, you know, so there's obviously tons of anthropomorphization going on. But there's always just certain little behaviors where I'm like, oh, is that, you know, based in anything? And ultimately, like, it's still telling a story, you know? Yeah.
They start to like dramatize it a little bit by having the crabs obsessed with the bubbles. But maybe there's some part to it that I didn't realize. I don't know. Maybe some listener will be like, no, actually, you're wrong. Like, no,
this is
in.
This is the one I want to look up. Are crabs obsessed with bubbles?
You should see my search history, because there's a lot of variations of that.
Wait, well, okay. I don't want to trust the AI thing.
Yeah. It's so hard to Google things now. Because I think in fish tanks, they like the bubbles. So maybe that's the equivalent. Like maybe there's some like aquarium behavior that they were like, oh, crabs love the bubbles in aquaria. So maybe let's just play on that. I don't know.
No, for sure.
Maybe there is just shit flying out of the tube and they just want to eat it. I don't know.
Yeah. And then I guess one of the other final things I was thinking about was, has a school of fish ever been like, no, and like, you know, escaped essentially from a big, you know, trawling vessel or whatever?
Yeah. Okay. So I was thinking about this as well. I'm not a physicist, but like I don't think that's an option. There's obviously like a weight capacity on like trawler, like on net beams and stuff. So like maybe if it was super duper over capacity, it could affect the boat or like break the anchor point or whatever. But the idea of the fish going swim, I don't think that would be enough. Like assuming that the trawler didn't go wildly over capacity, I don't think, because like the way the buoyancy of boats would work and stuff, I don't think fish are strong enough. Also, if they're all exerting that pressure, would the fish at the bottom like just be crushed and
yeah.
pushed into tiny cubes?
Oh no!
Like, with the weight
just
from the
forced
guys
through
above.
like the group.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Which is just like even, awful. So I don't think that could happen. I didn't see any like stories about it happening. And I think physically it's probably not possible. But again, very happy to be proven wrong. But I don't think so. That's my instinct.
Well, and it was an interesting observation. I was watching, there's a YouTuber, Flandreau, who does a lot of video. He's a video game YouTuber, and he covered all the Finding Nemo video games. And
cool.
In one of the Finding Nemo games, during that sequence, you are Nemo, and you're basically supposed to be swimming around and telling Dory to like tell the fish to swim down. But then also because they were like, well, we need to make this more video gamey, so the fishermen are like throwing like screws and pipes and things overboard, so you have to dodge those while finding Dory and telling her to like different parts of the screen, telling her to like tell the fish to move down at this point, almost like timed out. But then also the idea that the fishermen overboard are like throwing stuff at the fish. Yeah. So it's like, oh wow, that's a more the more horrifying, version of that, where the fishermen actually know what's going on and they're trying to stop them,
Yeah. Not again.
Yeah.
Every time. Yeah. Every time we get this clownfish. But the idea of Dory getting stuck is a like subtle little nod as well, because bycatch is a huge thing. So like when, nets or trawlers or whatever like come through and catch these big collections of fish, often you can't discriminate what you're going to catch in there. So if they catch an endangered species, well, that sucks. But that's super oversimplifying it. Yeah, bycatch is a mega problem for
bycatch.
Like the fishing industry. Yeah. So that's when you catch the species that you're not trying to catch. And, we have things in our nets which are like bycatch reduction devices and these little like trapdoors for the other things to get out if it's not the right thing that you're trying to catch. So I think that the idea of Dory being caught in a net is a soft little introduction to the concept of bycatch being detrimental for fish populations. So yeah.
No, that's interesting.
Something.
Yeah.
Some accuracy to that scene. Yeah.
No, I feel like I've watched video, people on TikTok who are like fish or ocean related stuff where it is, these like lobster traps, and it's like, ooh, whoops, we found an octopus in here. And, like we have to get it out because we're not supposed to catch that. We don't want to catch that. Yeah.
And like turtles and stuff. It's like if you're trying to catch, I don't know, prawns or whatever, and you scoop up a turtle along the way, it's like, well, that turtle shouldn't be in there. So they've got little turtle trapdoors that they've built into nets now. Aww. Which is kind of cute, but also really sad that that's necessary.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like the idea of you taking a big net and just like bringing it through the water it's not an exact science, but it's cool that there are these things that people have made to try and reduce that stuff. That is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's a big topic, the trawling industry, which I probably won't get into.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Was there any other observations you were thinking of? I feel like we really, at least
we covered all of it.
Yeah, there's so much in this movie.
Speaking whale.
Oh, well, I meant to say earlier, you sent me, there's those memes of like, your first letter of your this is this name, what's your Star Wars name or what's whatever. And then you sent me, what's your whale name? And then I zoomed in and I was like, oh, it's all just like, ooh. I totally fell for it.
Yeah. It's like Steve Ramos, SRM. It's like,
yeah.
What else did I want to say? I think I want to talk about turtles a bit.
Okay.
We've gone probably heaps over time, but turtles are really cool. That's maybe the big takeaway. But the idea of like they can't live to be as old as what they said in the movie. Like they live to like maybe 100 years or something, not quite 150, unless Crush was like special. But the whole idea of turtles like use the EAC to migrate is pretty spot on. And so turtles lay their eggs on a beach somewhere. They little nest, put their eggs in there, and then they go away. And then the little baby turtles have to immediately just find their way around. So the mum's not even there, just leaves them be. So I think that's pretty accurate in that Squirt is just this independent, goes about his business sort of baby turtle, because that's what they have to do. So it's like as soon as they're born, they're like, all right, game on. They have to like fight their way to the ocean and not get eaten and killed by things, and then find their way to the East Australian current so they can do their migration and travel around the world.
Yeah.
And do you know about the magnets, about turtle magnetic fields? So, oh, that's so cool. Oh, we need another hour. Turtles have to, like little baby turtles have to like pitter patter along the sand, because that sort of calibrates their brain magnet. I'm going to butcher this. It's like little magnetic field in their brain. It's like, all right, that's my beach. And they calibrate it as these little babies. And that like, sort of, I guess, sets their compass. And then they go and they migrate like 3,000 kilometers or some like huge distance, and they travel around the world. And when it's time for them to eventually come and lay eggs themselves, they find their way back to this same beach using their little brain GPS that they calibrated when they were a baby.
Oh, and that's so how they did it with their flippers.
Yeah, well, it's like something about they're like they have to flip flop against the sand to like calibrate and ground themselves. I don't go all woo woo, but like they have to like calibrate themselves to that location so that they can come back.
Wow, that's so cool.
So cool. Yeah, and they find their way back like 15 years later or something.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I wish I was that good with directions. I'm not.
Just when I like leave the house, I go like pitter patter so I can remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Finding Nemo, what are we going to give it? Again, I was thinking of the scale because I think ultimately, at the end of the day, there's no perfect dramatized version of science, as far as we know. Maybe Project Hail Mary, but even then, potentially not. And I was thinking on a scale of like 1 to 10, 1 being like, this is bad for the science. So in terms of fish and ocean stuff and climate change and the Great Barrier Reef, 1 is like, this movie is bad for science. And then 10 is show this in a classroom. Like, it's going to inspire people to maybe get into the field that's covered. It is generally good, as far as like, it's not totally, I guess, like fear-mongering maybe is the right word I'm looking for, because I'm just thinking about Jaws, which is like very fear-mongery. But yeah, I guess you're my guinea pig for this scale. So what are like, you're going to set the tone.
Oh man, no pressure. So I like when you mentioned this before, I was like, I used to be a school teacher in the olden days. And I'm trying to remember if I ever did wheel this out on the little wheelie TV and show it to my students. I have a vague recollection of doing it. Like, we didn't have the wheelie TV. It wasn't that far in the olden days, but I'm pretty sure I showed at least clips of it. So I think I am leaning towards the 10. And I don't want to like start the series with a strong 10, because that's too, so maybe I'll go like 9.5. I don't know, 9. Let's go 9, because there's always room for improvement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like there's so much I got right, and then I think, like we were saying at the start, like it just inspires people. Like, you're like, oh my God, the Great Barrier Reef, I've got to go there one day. And now you have, and now we're recording a podcast talking about how cool the Great Barrier Reef is.
Yeah.
I think for that, it's got to score really highly. So I reckon we'll go at 9.5, because a 10, you got to save the 10.
Well, I was going to say,
perfect.
I was going to say maybe the only thing that I would wonder if it would ding it was the clownfish adoption thing.
Oh,
could we ding it a point for that?
Yeah. All right. Okay. It's a 9 because, oh yeah. And all those fish. Okay. Yeah. It's a 9 because if it was true to science and, the Barracuda donked Nemo's egg and then Marlin ate the egg because he wasn't going to survive. And then he became Marilyn. Like, that wouldn't have been a good movie, but it would have been more accurate. So I don't know.
Or no, I was going to say actually to more of the idea of people adopting clownfish after this movie.
Oh,
like,
right.
would I ding it from a 9 to maybe an 8 or a 7 even, because was that bad? Like, was that one negative effect of this movie it had on the world, you know?
But then was the good that it did stronger than the negative? Because I think, like, yeah, some people wanted them, but I think it made more people care about the reef than it made people want to have their own clownfish. So I reckon 8.3. Done. I said it. It's done. Lock it in. Final answer.
And, you know, I think I was going to give it an 8 ultimately.
Cool.
But you're the scientist.
Moderation. Done.
So ultimately,
no, look, you just moderated.
Your score is weighted higher than mine. No, that's great. I think that's a good start. I think, like you said, that this movie, I think, generally inspires a lot of positivity, and I think that counts for something, at least. I think that's part of the goal of this series, is to be like, should this movie be shown to kids as like an example of whatever the topic is? And I feel like, 8.3.
Yeah.
So
8.3, but also show it to kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's like, I potentially may do Jaws, but like in my head, like, is Jaws like a, oh my gosh, my cats are going crazy. But like in my head is Jaws like a 3? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know, or
almost
even
the
like
worst ever.
Yeah. Like, maybe some people got into sharks because of Jaws, or I mean, I definitely know people have gotten into sharks because of Jaws, but at the same time was like the damage on sharks almost irreparable. But we'll save that. But Finding Nemo,
Yay,
mostly positive. 8.3.
Yay.
Thank you so much, Alise. This has been so much fun. Thanks for wanting to be the first episode of Watch a Flick with a Scientist.
It was so fun. Anytime. Until Finding Dory.
You know, I've never seen Finding Dory.
Well, we'll have to. Look, if this series takes off, we'll have to do it all again.
Yeah.
With the sequel.
Yeah, it would be fun to do this series. I mean, I'm, you know, behind the curtain stuff with See Jurassic Right, there's been lots of little, I want to do my Michael Crichton book club every summer. I want to do, you know, back to school every year, and getting to do this like deeper dive with, we actually were pretty good about the puns, but getting to have you back on, getting to have other, you know, scientists who I've talked to and science communicators I've talked to in the back to school series, getting to have them on in this, you know, different capacity where we get to focus a little more on a specific topic, in this case, movies, and then get to talk about that science, I think is super fun. So yeah, I think we definitely should do Finding Dory in the future. Yeah. And
it was fun to research as well, because I didn't know all of that off the top of my head. It's like, I'm going to just do some targeted research on these specific things. So it's fun.
Well, where can people follow you, find you, buy your art?
Ooh, yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Alise_yay. I have my website, which is alisefox.com/shop if you want to buy my art. And I'm about to, my Sunday afternoon activity is to upload way more. So, by the time this comes out, it's going to be, that's me committing myself now to actually doing the chore I'm putting off. So go look at my art, alisefox.com/shop. But yeah, Instagram, probably the place. So Alise_yay. Yay.
Thanks so much, Alise. It's been so great catching up, and I guess I am going to put this mask back on. I guess I have to take off my glasses. See, how do you even... Now I look like...
Jacques Cousteau.
You're Diver Dan.
I'm Diver Dan.
You're P. Sherman.
P. Sherman Wallaby Way.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if this works, but anyway, thanks everyone for watching and listening. Let us know what movies you want me to watch with scientists. I mean, we have a few planned, a few more being planned, and I probably sound really nasally right now. So until next time, I guess, you know, watch a movie with curiosity and questions. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
By the way,
I
if you could
feel-
hear all my
yeah,
cats
my-
running around, by the way. Vroom, vroom,
I
vroom.
can't hear them.
Oh my gosh, your
I
hair's so
can't hear them.
long.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's very long.
I don't know
It's
if you
great
could hear the
this is great
cats.
for the audio only.
I don't know if you could hear my cats like running around thumping like horses. They're not anymore, but it was like vroom, vroom,
Oh.
vroom, vroom.
Aw.
Yeah, they got the zoomies. They've been sleeping all day. Oh wait, what was I going to say?